So, greetings. I am Dr. McClinton. Want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the N.O.W. Navigating Online Well Workshop, Part 1. Okay, the purpose of this workshop is to get you oriented to college life and to help you get over the hurdle that first subterm and show you some resources and let you know that we're here to support you. My team, I represent the Ally Center, so I'm the Associate Director for Ally Center Online in addition to being an assistant professor. Each of my team members that are present will introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Mariah Burkert. I am both a member of the Ally Center team and I am an adjunct professor teaching writing classes. I especially love to help out with writing, but I do love coming alongside students in whatever you may need assistance with and just helping you along to the next step in your journey.
Thank you, Mariah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chantel Patchke. I am the ESL specialist at the Ally Center, and I am also a adjunct faculty member.
True. You have other things, but she's being modest. So, cool beans. So, what we're going to do today is, as I said, I am going to give some just initial things that you want to be attentive to when you start your process at LBC. And then Chantel's going to take over and she's going to really go into the time management aspect of it. Okay. And so I'm going to go behind the scenes to share my screen. And what I'm literally going to do is I am literally going to take you to a class, okay? And I'm going to take you because this is what it would really be like for you in real time. So I'm going to take you to one of the classes that I teach. And this class happens to be LAN 101. And so the thing that I want to make you familiar with is that 10 weeks, 10 days before the subterm starts, your Canvas shell is open. Okay. So that means that you have the ability to literally go and look over the course. You can click on everything. You can see the expectations, everything, because a part of it is you signed up for it, but you're also making sure that you're prepared to pay the cost in terms of time. You know, now that you've gotten over your initial shock that, oh my gosh, I'm in college again, and sometimes it's yay, and sometimes it's, oh goodness, what did I do? So this gives you the opportunity to literally go through and just look at your course. And so, one of the most important things that you want to do is as you even begin to look at your Canvas shell, all right, you want to be clear on the fact that where I always tell students to go to land is on modules. Because what you will find is that your modules, so let me take you back for a moment. If you go to home, okay, that's going to give you like pretty much you're just looking at like an overview of what's going to go on each week, right? You'll see that there are announcements that your professor, he or she will post. Like the first week, it'll be posted prior to the first week to give you information about the Zoom link in classes. All right. There'll be contact information about your um, course. I don't personally make use of the course chat, but some other professors may. Guys, when you've taught, have you made utilization of the course chat?
No.
Okay. All
No.
right. So, I mean, I think the big thing in this is it shows you a way to contact your professor. And it also shows you those announcements because you're probably wondering, like, okay, when's the first Zoom session going to be and what day is that going to be on? So, that is the place where that information would lay. But if you look here, that first week, you're going through, and what you're going to find in every course is some type of course welcome, right? And the way that things are broken down, there's going to be a beginning. That first week, which is going to be so critically important, it's going to be your attendance verification. And in this, it's very important that you let everybody know, I'm all in. Okay. If you fail to say that you're all in, you will be dropped the first week. Okay. You have like a window of time to get it done. And if you don't, then it is assumed that you do not want to participate. But then beyond that, most courses will have some type of introduction and greetings. And for the most part, too, you're probably going to do like a little video. Okay. Some professors allow you to write it, but it's just your way of introducing yourself. Okay. So everything is kind of laid out in a way that should make sense to you. But there's that. And then every section has a learn, what you're going to learn. So it's going to talk about what you're going to learn in that particular module for that particular week. And then application. So there'll be some assignment that you need to do. You may have to write a short paragraph. Uh, you may have to respond to the writings of someone else because you had to read an article. In this particular course too, there's a reflection. And every course, as you'll see with your syllabus, generally has textbooks. Either they're digital or there's things that are sent to you, but it looks like a lot of times people are getting digital textbooks. All right. And often you will be asked to reflect on something. And then at the end of that first week, all right, you will have a meeting participation report. And again, your professor, he will or she will walk you through this, but you at your leisure can click on every single one of these things. All right. Uh, the thing that I want to point out, though, what is critically important is after you give things a look over, it's important that you acquaint yourself with the syllabus. All right. And here we have the course syllabus for Land 101. Generally speaking, your professor is going to take some time to basically just check to see that you read it and that you understood it. Okay. But they're not, when they meet with you, they have 30 minutes to an hour to meet with you at that Zoom session. So I sincerely doubt that they're going to take the first half hour of that 1 hour time they have with you to go through your syllabus. Okay. But what they may point out is a description of the course, all right, the prerequisites, and also the learning outcomes. Because everything that you do, there are student learning outcomes. Tasks are not put there just because someone has nothing else better to do. No, there's actually the assignments that you do are designed to actually meet these learning outcomes. So you're clear on what the expectation is. You're clear. Oftentimes people don't want to do something or it looks like it's overwhelming. Well, the student learning outcomes becomes the why. Why am I doing this? All right. And again, they may spend a couple of minutes just going through, then you will find your textbooks, all right? And here's the textbooks for this particular class, all right? But then textbook information, whenever you see something in red, that gives you the ability, it's like a live link, and you can click on it and it will lead you someplace else. Once again, in this 2 weeks before class starts, it's really important that you have your books. There should be an automaticity, they should be sent to you, but something may happen where they're not. And week 1 of the new subterm is not the time to reach out to your professor and say, I don't have my book. Because there's not going to be anything that they can do to get your book more quickly outside of tell you to, look at the website, reach out to your coach. So again, this planning place, it's really, really important. So you'll see what your books are, all right? It'll go through in a very concretized way what the assignments are going to be. And then you get to, in addition to that, again, this is about expectation. You look at grading, all right? And then you look at how you're going to go through the course procedures, right? And then it lets you know that there are different resources available to you. You'll hear about the Ally Center. You'll hear about library resources. All right. You have department contacts. So this is like a way of once again letting you know what you're in for. A lot of times, too, different syllabi will actually lay out week by week every assignment, but that is to be found also inside of Canvas. The way that I personally have navigated through Canvas to make it make sense to me is that while, seeing going to my homepage is good to see, as in terms of, okay, week one, we're talking an introduction. Week two, we're doing the writing process. But in seeing that, you don't know when what is due. Okay, so when I go to modules, and people will click on assignments. Personally, I find clicking on assignments a little bit confusing. So what has always worked for me, and even when I teach and go through the module, I click on modules, because what the module does is it lets you know when things are due. And it also lets you know the points that are ascribed to everything that's due. Okay, so in so doing, you can just begin to look over what the week's going to look like. As a rule, you're more than likely going to have something that's due that first Wednesday. And then, and a lot of times, that's going to be a discussion post. You'll be asked to do something very specific, respond to something, and you will do this initial discussion post. The professor may say in a paragraph or in 2 paragraphs, and that is going to be your response due the first Wednesday. But then, in addition, because the other part is the goal is to build this writing and learning community, you by the end of the week, Saturday or Friday, based on the date that your professor gives you, you will have to respond to 1 or 2 peers. And once again, the goal is for you to write a short paragraph, and in it, they'll have something. Either you're asking questions or you're saying, Bob, I really liked when you said such and such. I resonated with that. I'm in agreement, or I disagree because, but it's a time for you to have another short dialogue. Okay. It's not, I really like that. I really liked your post. And as you get into your classes, your professors will tell you more. But wanting you to know in terms of expectation, expect that you're going to get something on Wednesday. Okay. Some type of discussion post, generally speaking. Expect that part one is due on Wednesday. Expect that the other part, I know for me, it's generally Saturday night at 11:59. But then you know that's coming. Generally speaking, then everything else is due on that Saturday. So if you notice here, okay, you had this attendance verification, which is a one-off. You won't have to do that again. But and even the introduction and greetings, you won't have to do that again. But you see, so this time you had a couple of things due. On the 27th, only because it was the first week, but in terms of heavy lifting in terms of assignments, you'll find that the bulk of what you need to do is due at the end of the week. Okay, due by that Saturday. I'm going to tell you now, do not wait until Saturday or Friday to get this stuff done. What you need to be able to do even early on is being able to look at your assignments and take and click on them and find out what looks easy for you to do and what's going to require more time. You will find that when you look at your different assignments, for example, if I click on this, let's say I clicked on this literacy narrative, it says it estimates it's going to take you 2 hours to do it. And so what you need to do is you need to become accustomed to clicking on everything and looking at the time that it's going to take you to do this. Because if you see that's going to take me 2 hours, all right, there might be something else that takes an hour or 5 hours. And so that way you begin to plan, okay, I'm going to do this here. I'm going to do this here. I'm going to do this here. If you have a tremendously busy schedule, okay, you may want to schedule the things that are that are the easiest outside of the dates. You may say, you know what, I'm going to take care of this first. Obviously, the thing that has the date, it's due on the 27th, you want it done. But the other ones that are due later in the week, you may want to take that opportunity to say, I'm going to do this one and then this one. All right. But my point is plan it out. All right. You don't want your toughest assignment to be due on Saturday when that day is terribly busy, and now you're at 6 o'clock, you finally have some time to get it all done, and now you're racing against the clock because your heart is beating fast, because you're saying, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have enough time to get all this done. And so what I'm just really saying in the beginning, you need to recognize you're going to have to plan this. Okay, now to plan things, I'm going to introduce you to the Ally Center. All right, if you click on the Ally Center inside your Canvas, which will take you right here, what you will see is you have the ability to schedule an appointment, okay? And then we'll talk you through that. In addition to that, you will see that we have all sorts of resources. We have an area that deals with academic mentoring services, and that's going to deal with things like time management that Chantel's going to be talking about, but study skill strategies. And as I said, I'll be able to click on this, but then you'll see under writing services, and you see that for undergrad, master's, or doctoral students, at any point in the writing stage, Ally's primary focus is writing. Its goal is to get your thoughts off the paper, off out of your head onto the paper. So it facilitates getting your assignments done. The thing is, we are not trained to be subject experts in everything that you have as an assignment, okay? But from a standpoint of understanding and comprehending your assignment, we would walk through you if in fact you came for that. Now, what happens sometimes is you'll have someone who says, I don't have an assignment due yet, but I'm over here. I mean, I just want someone to help me with comprehension or something like that. So you may then end up scheduling yourself for an academic mentoring service as opposed to the writing service. Okay, and as I said, a lot of data, but as you go through the process, this will become a lot more familiar with you. And so you've got academic mentoring services, you have writing services, you have accessibility services, if there is a challenge that you have in a particular area. We have a person by the name of Christy Workhauser. She works for the Ally Center, and it just goes through the steps in the process, what that looks like for you, okay, to get support. The time to get support is not week 3 when you have a difficult assignment, okay? If you know that you've had struggles, then it's better to be preemptive. We can't ask you about your high school, what kind of classes you took. That's not our business. But if you say that, you know, you struggled, that kind of a thing, or you're having difficulty, and there's no problem in saying that you struggle with something and you may be eligible for additional support. That's what we're here for. Okay. But what I'm saying, once again, you want to time it correctly. The not it's not the final thing because there's a math lab. I'll just deal with that very briefly. The other thing is we have English as a second language services. So Chantel has done an amazing, as I said, not only is she the adjunct professor, but she's done an amazing job in terms of bringing ESL services to life. In terms of there's just a whole there's a whole village here where you hear resources and you get to know about newsletters and get pointed in different directions again, and can actually make an appointment with her. Okay, so just want you to be clear that you have access. Okay, you have access to Mariah. You'll meet Hannah at some point. We have this team of people. There's a whole team of people that are waiting here to support you. You'll find here too that there's a math lab, but generally that is open to the traditional undergrad students. Okay, if there are some individual needs, then ideally you would send me something perhaps, or reach out to the Ally Center directly stating what your needs are, and they will try to meet them, but it's not necessarily designed to deal with a lot of online math issues. It's not set up that way. All right, so what I'm going to do before I turn this over to Chantel is I want us to go here, okay, under academic resources. And as I said, what's beautiful is you get to see that these resources are here, and you can click on everything. So for example, study and learning, and it deals with reading assignments and listening to lectures and exam preparation. So these are all different kinds of tools that you can read to get insight and understanding, right? Here you're dealing with productivity and time management, so you could deal with purpose and goals, calendars, all those kinds of things that are going to help you be productive and manage your time. All right, academic self-care. Yes, you must take care of yourself. Is college stressful? Absolutely. And it's incredibly stressful if you are an adult with children, with a spouse, with work. And the thought sometimes is, don't they understand that we have other things to do? And the answer is, I'll tell you up front, yes, that is understood. And that is why we take the time to actually go through all of this so that you're clear as to what you're getting into. I'm going to skip over. And so, again, all these different things you click on, you'll see the actual resource. Here, I want to go to global student resources because what I just want to highlight for a moment is what you're going to find, and these are good things to click on because it really, really is going to help you begin to get through your week. Okay. But the thing I want to highlight is the fact that what is important is pre planning. As you start what you need to do, pre planning basically says, okay, I've looked at the course, I've looked at the syllabus, and I understand I have a variety of assignments to do. But what you also want to be able to do early on is you want to be able to look at planning. Okay, it's like saving money. They say those who fail to plan, um, those who fail to plan, plan to fail. And the same thing can be true of your coursework if you don't plan things out. So some folks, they're long-term planners and they will have a planner. I want a monthly planner. But other people are saying, nah, I'm much more pedantic. I need to see what I'm doing on a daily basis. So they'll have a daily planner. And then some people, which I find is the preference for most, they will do a weekly planner. So again, if I just click on, here's a course calendar. All right. This is a resource that is available. It's probably open up here. But this is something that you can download, you can copy on your printer at home. All right. And this would give you access to like the big picture. Okay, now to me, that can be overwhelming, but I know that a lot of students have taken this and used this to good effect. All right. And again, they're looking at their course, they're looking at their 8 weeks, and it's kind of looking at the whole month. And if you feel so inclined, I would say do it. The other thing, too, is are you guys seeing a calendar? Well, okay, because sometimes I think people are seeing things that I'm seeing and they're not. So again, this is just another example of if I wanted to do a calendar and kind of wanted to look at my 8 weeks. But you will find that oftentimes people are very, very comfortable with more of a weekly calendar. Okay, and so what you just see here is you've had this global calendar, you have an ideal week, and this may be a good place to start. And I say a good place to start because again, if you're looking at your first week, okay, you're looking at this first week, what you literally want to do is you want to go through and you want to account initially for all the things that you need to do. Okay. When you think about the online space, you're thinking, okay, that's just 1 hour. All right. And I'll just pencil in that 1 hour for my Zoom session or not, because you don't have to come to Zoom, but you do have to do a meeting participation report. But the point is, I'm making is that you need to put your schedule here. If you work a 9 to 5, then you need to put your 9 to 5 here. If you've got Bible study, you need to put your personal Bible study. If there's a time that you need to pick up your kids, you need to put the time that you need to pick your kids there. But recognize that on average, okay, it is determined that it's probably going to be like 17 hours per week that you must have available to do your one class. And so if you are doing 2 classes, that's like 30 hours. Now, for some, if you're Speedy Gonzalez, you may get through the assignments quickly. But for some, it may take more time. So understand that just because this is online and you have some freedom, the thing that is superimposed on you is when those assignments are due. Okay. While we can't tell you when, at what time you need to start them, certainly your syllabus and certainly Canvas, well, Canvas is going to tell you this is when it's due. So it is due when it's due. And guess what? No one is sitting up at 11 o'clock, 11:59, waiting for you to turn your assignment in, but Canvas is. And as the clock strikes 12, if that assignment's not there, Canvas is going to mark it as not done. Okay? It'll immediately put a 0. And so if you get it in Sunday afternoon, okay, but it's going to say that it was late. So recognize that's not what your professor's doing. They're not sitting around, I can't wait to catch them. No, the system is such that it will not only put a 0 if it's not done. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm telling you this is real. This is the real deal. But it will if something is not done. Put a 0. The second thing is if it's late, okay, you turn it in 2 days later. When your professor goes to mark it, the system, not your professor, will automatically take those points off. So again, I just want you to understand that this is how things work. And I think if you know how things work, you won't be in shock. And again, you want to have, it's like getting married. You want to soberly consider what it is that you said you were going to do before you say I do. Couple other quick things that I just want to show you. Uh, this other thing, and take it at your leisure. It is a time audit. And this one is particularly filled out, but you have to determine how you spend your time. Okay. You have 168 hours per week, right? But as you go through and you do this audit, you may find out that you've got all this time. And then when it comes time to get your work done for LBC, you have no extra time. There is not a 170th hour. Okay. If you had the gross wealth of an Elon Musk, okay, he can't add an hour to a day. All right. So I want you to understand that it is, you have 168 hours each week. I think I read this morning that is 1,440 minutes. And you get a new set of them every day. So it's just important from a planning perspective that you are able to put in these things. Give yourself this audit so you understand how you are spending your time. All right. So, like I said, that was an example, but then you can get to do it here because you want to just make sure that you have the time to study. Uh, I believe that's the final thing I'm going to say is I just took us totally out of there. But the final, let me see here. I'm going to stop my share. The final thing that I want to point out to you is that there are things you're going to have to know early on. And one of them is MLA. I took you into the Ally Center. I began to show you where the resources are. And that's the other thing, too. In the Ally Center, not only are there resources that are written, but there's a whole, and actually I have to go back there simply because it's kind of like a pride and joy of sorts in terms of just what the team has done already to like support students. So let me get there very quickly. It's like sometimes I think this system like forgets who you are and you have to like go back in and reintroduce yourself, but we'll get there. Here we are. I was talking about just the tools that are available. And again, at your leisure, you're going to click these. This is just like a really quick walk and talk through them all before Chantel presents her piece of it. And this is the other thing. There are webinars. And so here, if you notice here, the folks have taken the time to literally do workshops on all these areas. And if you look, it's massive. So whether it's MLA or navigating through Word and Canvas or crafting an effective thesis statement or PowerPoints, learning how to do it, all these tools are communicating effectively. You have the ability to click on that. Your guide, who generally is also an adjunct professor, will take you through that particular area. You can pause it, you can ask your own questions, you can make notes, but it's a wonderful way to really make sure that you understand what's being talked about. So, yet again, that is another the video resources, and you click on them, they'll take you to YouTube. So, we have a whole YouTube channel page. The other thing I was going to say to you is that you will find too in our resources, the thing you're going to hear a lot is MLA. And you will find that there is an MLA guide when you look at our writing services. And you want MLA to become your best friend because from week 2 on, your professor, he or she, is going to require it. It's not, what's how they put it? It is not a suggestion, it's an instruction. On that note, I will pause and turn it over to my colleague.
All right, thanks, Doc.
Absolutely. You want
All
me to
right.
check this out?
Yes, but you can stop sharing your screen and I'm going to
Alrighty.
then share my screen. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you
All
have any
right.
questions or comments, Mariah, before we went back in here?
Take it away, Chantel.
There
Okay.
you go.
All right. Sounds good. All right, I'm going to share my screen. So first off, I should say welcome. Welcome to college life. Your life has now drastically changed. So a few great points were made by Dr. McClinton about how are you planning your time? Yes, the course does open. View access only 10 days prior. You should not wait till the day of that Monday morning to start accessing Canvas. Okay. How are you planning your time wisely? So I'm going to share my screen. Please excuse the voice. If I'm coughing, I'm just recovering from being sick over the weekend. Okay. I'm going to go briefly through this presentation and then I'm actually going to show you some of the tools that we have on the Ally Center page that Dr. McClinton did briefly review. I'm just going to go over some other time management pieces. So I should probably ask you a question here to start us off. If you've said, oh no, I don't have enough time. Okay, I hear this all the time. I say it on a daily basis. So I'm with you on this. But we all have the same 24 hours each day. So Dr. McClinton went over even the weekly, how many minutes, how many hours are in that week? All right, are you utilizing them wisely? Okay, what you do with the hours that you are awake is going to make a difference. So, what is time management? Because we cannot manage the time, okay? But we can manage the decisions that we make. We can manage how to plan, how to organize the activities to make the best use of that time. So, really, in short, it's about making conscious choices to use your time effectively so that you can, number one, achieve your goals. Number two, lace with less effort wasted. There you go. Try saying that 5 times. Goodness. Not while you're sick either. All right. So I'm briefly going to skip some of these things. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 things. Why is it important to manage your time? Why? 3 things. Efficiency, balance, and stress. So first, it helps you work more efficiently, meaning you can accomplish your to-do list or even more with less amount of stress if you organize and plan effectively. You can do it. I know it's possible. All the tips I'm going to give you, it is doable. And Dr. McClinton can attest, like I've got a chaotic schedule. I live in organized chaos. Okay. So yes, you can actually accomplish more with less stress. Balance. Good time management or self-management does require balance. Okay. You have to also protect your personal time while managing everything else that you've going on as an adult online student. Okay. It does reduce stress. Okay. It's a proven way to reduce anxiety and mental fatigue because we know online school, you will be mentally drained. Okay. But we want to give you as much energy as we can if you actually follow the tips that we give you. Okay. So why do we struggle with time management? 4 tips here. I'm not going to go through them. This presentation will be sent out. If you do want more notes on this, I can send you more about these 4 tips. Okay. To go over the first way to better manage your time. We call this the Eisenhower matrix. This has been around for quite some time, many years, and we still use it today. It's quite fascinating. If you do end up taking or you have taken the FAS 100 course, um, I actually teach that course. I require it in the course saying, okay, you actually have to fill out the 3-page Eisenhower matrix, and then I review it, and then I meet with you one-on-one and basically say, wow, you are horrible with your time management, or you're doing really well. So after they get through this presentation, I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you where on the Ally Center resource page that you can access these practical tips. All right. So Eisenhower matrix, I took a screenshot for you. Okay. On your left, this is what the matrix looks like. Okay, it's set up into 4 quadrants, right? So you have urgent and important. That means do these first. Okay, then you have urgent, you have important but less urgent. Okay, that means like plan for these, get ready. Okay, on the bottom, okay, you have important. Oh my goodness, if I can read this right. You have urgent and less important. Okay. That means try to delegate these. Quadrant 3, try to minimize these if you can. And then quadrant 4, less urgent, less important. That's like, okay, I'm going to just pick them up and I'm going to drop them elsewhere. All right. I don't need these right now. Just consider doing that. Okay. And then on the right, I gave you some examples of what would go into each quadrant. Okay. It's important that you get clear on what's truly important. Dr. McClinton did touch on this of like, wow, how many hours do you need per class? And if you're going full time, roughly we would say about 15 hours, right, per class. I mean, that's a lot of time. If you are a working adult with children, you're a guardian of some sort. Okay, you're in ministry. Some of you are in full-time ministry. There's a lot going on. So if you can prioritize and put into these quadrants what's important, you're actually going to just cut right through all that clutter. Okay. And you'll be able to focus more on the energy that you need to focus on college. Again, college, we take it very seriously. This is a very important time of your life. I love that if the Lord called you back here, that's wonderful. But there is a set of here's what needs to be done. Okay. Some planning techniques. I'll show you again this here in a bit. We have to-do lists. Okay, I love bullet points. All right. There's something about the dopamine that is released from the brain when we actually see a to-do list and it's crossed off. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing. So that's just creating a list of tasks. Okay. Grocery shopping, pick up the kids, take the dog out, whatever that looks like. All right. Cross it off when completed. Okay. It's going to help you focus and track your progress. And at the end of the day, you can say, wow, okay, maybe you only crossed off 2 things out of a list of 7, all right? But then you can also use the Eisenhower matrix and say, okay, what can I put off for the next week? Okay. Calendars, this is a great way. Ally Center provides them, but guess what? Your Outlook through LBC, your LBC email, that gives you a free calendar right there. And I think in the next session of the Navigating Online, they're going to go in and discuss the email portion, I think, right? Okay, wonderful. Time blocking. I'm going to show you this. This is just allocating specific blocks of time for specific tasks. To summarize, it's dedicating chunks of time to certain activities, and it's going to ensure that bigger tasks and breaks and personal time, they're not getting squeezed out. They're actually being done. Just like you set up a doctor appointment. Okay, you're going to get a notification 10 minutes prior. I assume you're going to attend that doctor appointment. Do the same with your self-care. Do the same in your marriage. Schedule a date night. Spend some time with your kids. If you've got a grandkids soccer game Saturday morning, block that out. Okay, but then plan ahead and say, what do I need to get done for that Saturday night? Because it is doable. Though I will say, boundaries are crucial. I'm not going to talk about it in this session, but saying no is very important. Speaking to the choir. All right. All right, how to manage distractions. You are going to have a ton of distractions as an adult online student. You're not living on campus, okay? I would say it's a lot easier to live on campus because you can just set your alarm, put on some sweatpants, and go right off to class, and there you go. You don't even have to eat breakfast at times. In the online space, it's much more challenging. So you first need to identify your distractions. You then need to create a specific work zone. I've heard many online students say, I don't have a specific or a set space besides my bed or maybe the couch to do my work. All right. If that's all you have, we can work. I know it's not a good thing, but we can work on it. We can manage it. Okay. We can work with some type of distraction-free zone. Lighting is crucial. Noise is crucial as well. So there are some things you can meet with the Ally Center. We can talk about that. Set time limits. Okay, that is also using the Pomodoro technique. I did some research recently about the Pomodoro technique, and yes, I talk about it in many of my sessions, but actually, I'm beginning not to like it for some reasons. Okay, the Pomodoro technique actually, it tells the learner or the student that it just assumes that everyone is capable of working for 25 minutes. And now that we know many of you are non-traditional students, students coming in with IEPs or students that are second language learners, some of you actually cannot even do the 25 minutes. So it's just, we work around it. We use the Pomodoro technique. We work for 25 minutes and then we take a break for 5, but we can adjust that. Okay. I like to adjust it. I like the concept of it, but I typically adjust it for my students. So I recommend if 25 minutes is a long time for you, start with 15. Okay. Start with 15, then take the 5. If 25 minutes, you're like, but I typically I do really well reading a chapter of my book for an hour and I do really well. Like my brain doesn't go all scatterbrained. That's great. Why don't you take the Pomodoro technique and adjust it and start with 45 minutes of researching MLA format, then your 5-minute break. So I recommend the technique, but I would critique it just a bit and make it geared towards what you need as a student. Okay. Do what you can to turn off all notifications. Okay. We live in a distracted world. We get dings all the time, okay? From emails to the dog barking, the kids asking for a snack. Then I hear the laundry go off, right? That's part of life. Do what we can, okay? There are some ways that you can say, okay, I'm going to sit down for 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes in silence, okay? Give your kids the snack, make sure the dog's taken out. There are ways that we can work around it. So use the technique, try it. I require it in one of my courses, just to get research on it. And I would say about 75% it works. The other percentage, it doesn't work for some students. And that's why we've had to work around, okay, why is it working? Why is it not working for some? And then you would just repeat the technique into 4 intervals. Okay. After the 4 intervals are done, you then take a longer break. Okay. 30-minute break, 20-minute break, whatever that looks like. But also your break, that long break, that's not a time to go sit on social media. Okay. The break is to kind of rest the brain. Okay. Go do the dishes, go outside, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D. It's going to benefit you. Okay. Don't start scrolling because when we scroll, it leads into a whole other thing. Yeah, we go downhill when we scroll. All right. And also when we scroll, you think about your eyes just going up and down really fast. It's not working. All right. So next is to delegate. Okay. Delegating matters as an adult, as a college student. It's very challenging to delegate, but it matters because you need to be able to hand off work to someone else who is capable of doing it. I would say delegation really matters for those who are in full-time ministry. I've seen that a lot with students. Okay, and I use this example all the time. Okay, if you're teaching a Sunday school or if Wednesday nights you've got a children's group, see if you can delegate this to someone and say, hey, I'm in college now. Every Wednesday night I have a discussion post. Can I rotate? Maybe like twice a month, right? I'll do it. Okay. So you're still in ministry, but you're not saying, okay, I'm dedicating full time, because think about the amount of planning time it takes to do what you're doing in ministry as well. All right. Always communicate, give clear instructions. Okay. Make sure the right person is doing the job. Also, when you delegate, it lets go of perfectionism. Okay. And it lets go of, okay, I don't need to do it all right now. You're going to put it into hands of someone who's trustworthy, but monitor that progress. Okay. Say, hey, how's it going every Wednesday night? I really wish I could be there, but college, that's my number one right now. Okay. College should be at your top 3 priorities right now. Okay. Top 3, because I would say there's other things like if you're married, if you have kids, you still have to change diapers. So that's still a priority. Okay. Um, looking at the time. Okay, looking at the time. I'll go over procrastination briefly. Excuse me. But then I want to get into the tangibles here. Procrastination. Dr. McClinton did show a list of workshops. There are probably 2 or 3 workshops now discussing procrastination, how to overcome it. So I encourage you to go back to that site or even our YouTube page and find those webinars that were done. Procrastination leads to more of there's something else going on. It's not because you are lazy, right? A lot of times as adult students, we procrastinate because there is so much going on in our life, and because we are not planning effectively or we're not organized well, we get to that thing that last second and say, oh my gosh, I forgot, or wow, I did not have a sticky note written down. So that's a lot of times why we procrastinate. Another reason why is in the adult space. Many of you are coming back to college as an older age. Okay. And you're saying, you probably ask yourself, oh, I don't think I'm cut out for this. Am I good enough? And when we ask that question, a lot of times we begin to put off these tasks, these assignments, because we have this fear of, what is the professor going to think? I'm not good enough for this. So I'm going to put it off and see, just kind of see how it goes. And then we get to, 10 o'clock at night, we're like, yeah, I think I'm going to have to get started. It's due at 11:59. Okay. We see it all the time. And also, when you do reach out to the Ally Center at 10 o'clock p.m., we're not going to be there. Also, on the weekends, I get emails all the time from students. Okay. No, we do not answer the phone on the weekends. We also need at least 2 days off. We love you though, but we need a break as well. Um, so with procrastination, the importance I would say is really to understand the cause. I've met with many of you, not many of you who are watching this recording, many of the students at LBC, and they tell me that procrastination, it also stemmed from their childhood. So it's something that they've brought into adulthood, and they're saying, okay, how do I overcome this? So I would say understand your cause first. Make sure that you have small goals. Okay, make sure that you have a mixture of practical strategies. All these resources are on the Ally Center webpage, so I'm just giving you the breakdown. Okay, it also stems from a mindset shift. Okay, 2-minute rule. This has saved my life. Walking through my house, all right? I used to be like, okay, so I need to get from this room to that room, right? And you're like set on getting to that room. But then I look around and I'm like, oh, there's a pair of pants on the floor. There's a toy that needs to be out. That needs done. I would say if you can do it in 2 minutes or less, do it immediately. So do it by doing this, by picking up as I walk from this room to the next room. It has actually saved me a ton of time in the end. I don't have to backtrack and spend like 2 hours cleaning because I've done it right when I saw the need to be done. Okay. Same with dishes. Okay. If you have a dishwasher, if you have one, instead of putting everything in the sink, you think about as it piles up. Okay. By the end of the week, you've accumulated so many dishes and you're like, crap, I don't have any silverware. Think about the amount of time that it takes you to wash all those and prep for the next thing because you didn't do it under the 2-minute rule. If you would have just set the silverware in the dishwasher, if you have a dishwasher, just set it in there. Okay. When it's filled, run it. Okay. You're ready to go. So when you need it, you're like, yes, like my dishwasher is ready to be emptied. Now it's the emptying part. That's a whole nother story. Emptying it, right? Okay. And the last one is rewarding consequences. You all know what the consequences are with procrastination. Okay. Though I will say, I've had students argue with me and they'll say, but guess what? Guess what, professor? I submitted an assignment, 2 minutes before, and it only took me 30 minutes to write a 4-page paper. And guess what? I still got an A. And I'm like, that technically in your world, that's a reward. But here's the set of consequences. It comes later on. You're setting yourself up for failure that way. Okay, rewarding yourself is also crucial. The way God designed us, we have this awesome muscle, an organ up in our noggins, our heads, called the brain, and it loves like being rewarded. It really does. So if you have a wonderful week and you're like, you know what, I did my discussion post on time and I replied to 2 people. That's fantastic. Don't take that for granted. Say, you know what? That was awesome. Reward yourself. No, do not go out and buy like a Lamborghini. Okay. Just say, you know what? Instead of a hot black coffee, I'm going to reward myself. And if you have the finances, do it. Say, I'm going to get a latte. Or I'm going to get a muffin with my latte this time, if you're able to, if you're not gluten-free, right? It's the simple rewards, okay? And it's also the positivity. I hope that you have accountability. I don't talk about it during this time, but having someone to keep you accountable who has been through what you're currently going through is going to be very important. That's what I recommend about accountability partners. If you find someone who has not been where you've been, it's very hard for them to understand where you're at. Okay, it's very hard for them to sympathize with you. So I always recommend trying to find someone who's been through, they've gone through, especially the online school. Okay, they know what it takes. It's also one of the benefits of our Ally Center team. We're all professionals in our field, right? And we're all professors. So it's wonderful to say, okay, we've been through the hell and back of master's degrees, okay? We've been through that, All right. So, yeah, we have a wonderful team. Now, I want you to realize that with procrastination, before I move on, is to really is to focus on the positive reasons as to why you're tackling a task. Everything we do is a form of worship. Everything we do, even learning, it's a form of worship. I know it sounds counterintuitive. It's like, what? Can you even learn as a form of worship? All right. Everything we do has a purpose. Okay. So whether you're studying, you're researching, you're writing MLA format, whatever that looks like, you're also, yes, you're learning, you're gaining knowledge, but you're also worshiping the Lord during that time. So, more tips there. Those were just some anti-strategy, some strategies for time management. Let me share my screen. I'm going to scoot over to the Ally Center webpage again. I'm going to stop sharing to make sure that it follows me. All right, if you go back, oh, let me share. I almost started talking without sharing. All right, Dr. McClinton showed us this academic mentoring resource page. When you click on productivity and time management, all right, and go down to calendars and productivity. Some of these are for traditional undergrad students, so students who are on campus, and the other resources are for the online population, which is you. So I'm going to show you an example of 4 different areas of what you can utilize here. So the first one is a daily planner. Okay. Dr. McClinton spoke on this. Some of you do like to plan your tasks on a day-to-day basis, and you should be. Okay. I always tell students that if you wake up in the morning and you don't have your outfit picked out already, you're already behind. Okay. It should be done the night before. It really should be. Why? We can go this whole long, okay, you can spill your coffee. It might not look good as women. Okay. You might say, man, in my head, this looks so good. So good, but it didn't look good at all, right? Plan the night before. So you can actually put this on your planner. All right. You can see as you scroll down to the bottom, you also have notes for tomorrow. So you might say, yeah, I really need to reach out to this person because I didn't do it today and they're only, in the office this day. Okay, you can put that down at the bottom. So this is on the web page. It's a daily planner. The next we have the weekly planner. Okay, so you have your goals, and I love here that it's listed here on your left-hand side, right? If you're a goal-oriented person, right, you can actually put your goal for these 5 areas. Okay, you can place your goal and then your next steps, or you can also place the next steps of how am I going to get that goal? How am I going to reach that? Okay, and I do love that it does offer different content areas. It's not academic focused. All right. So I will recommend that if you are struggling in maybe something spiritual or emotional, still reach out to the Ally Center. We can then direct you to different places that Lancaster Bible College does have to offer. Right. But this is great because on the weekly, you can actually see at the bottom, you can put your tasks for the weekly. I love the long-term project section. Some of my students use this and they'll say, they'll put down here, they're going to put, all right, in this class, in LAN 100 or 101 in week 7, they're going to put expository essay, argumentative essay. So that's great because they can see, it's in week 7. Okay, I should probably start, week 3, week 2, right? All right, so that's another thing there for you. This is an example of a calendar that we have our TU students, our on-campus students, what they complete in one of their courses. I like that this is just used an example. Their courses are 16 weeks, okay? So you can see you're like, oh my goodness, look how long it is. It's August to December and it's color-coded, all right? Again, there's pieces of the brain. When it sees color, it kind of like lights up just like an MRI machine. And it's like, oh yeah, like I love this. I love this. All right. So this is an example of a student that did this. Okay. This is what it should look like. I recommend that you take your 8-week calendar and you do the same. You color code it as well. All right. This is an example that Dr. McClinton did show us. It's 8 weeks. All right. So you think about courses that are 8 weeks long. That's a lot of information in a short period of time. So it is beneficial that you start in advance. You start prepping in advance. Okay. You can download these. You can download them and print them off. All right. And if you have a color-coded printer or I recommend local library, usually lets you print as well, or for a small fee, if you are in the Lancaster area, you can come on campus and print, okay? Or we can print that for you, okay? Otherwise, all this is on the Ally Center resource page, and I believe that is it. Dr. McClinton, you can take over. Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you very much. Oh, you're muted, Doc.
That was really, really, really great. Just so glad that we're able to kind of tell you the real deal. I mean, again, if God has sent you to be with us, then He's got a plan. And the cool thing about God is when He sends us to do stuff, He's already finished what we're starting, right? And so if you have that strong God sent me here, then recognize He's already gone before you. But just because He's gone before you doesn't mean you don't have work to do. If you go back into the Old Testament, you'll see how God was promising the Hebrews a land that flowed with milk and honey, right? Now, here's the thing. When they were going to acquire the land and Pharaoh had let them go so that they could worship, and I'm not going to go through their whole history, but by the time that they were about to enter the land, the first thing they did is they saw giants. Even though spies had been sent out to show them like this mammoth fruit, like these ginormous grapes, and just fruit like to live for, right? And despite that, they were filled with doubt and trepidation. So they saw giants. They didn't see the fruit. A pastor put it to me this way many years ago. He said the Israelites, they wanted to see milk and honey, but they saw cows and bees. And what I'm saying is, oftentimes what you are called to do is going to feel like cows and bees. Or if you remember Karate Kid, remember the labor, and Mr. Yuagi or something of that sort said, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. And Danielson in the moment could not understand, why do I have to do this? It seems like. And so I'm saying that there are going to be times that you feel that way. Okay, there are going to be times. Now, there might be someone who's just like a super genius, and it's like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this all my life. Thank you, Jesus. And I'm not saying that a college isn't a wonderful experience, but I also know, real deal, and all of us know because we've been students, okay, that it requires work. And when the work comes, I don't want you to run out your promised land. And that is why we're taking the time to even go through this process, because, again, the fairy dust disappears after I've been accepted. I'm going to start college. But here is once again that wonderful opportunity, 10 days for you to have a serious and sober look before you even start. Because here's the thing, if you go through this process and said, you know what, maybe I need to talk to my coach. That is the time you talk to your coach. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to start and then stop and start and then stop. We recognize that life happens, but we also serve a God that says that He who started the work in you. So again, while this is not meant to overwhelm you, it is to say, hey, listen, there's some wonderful resources. As you already see, I've got a great team to support you, and you're going to have some great professors. We just want to come alongside you early on in your journey to say, you can get through this. The final thing I'm going to do is ask Mariah just to close us out in prayer. And thank you, Chantel.
Indeed. Thank you both. Let's go ahead and pray. Lord, thank you so much for this wonderful evening. Lord, we thank you for LBC and for the opportunity that we have to be here, both as teachers, as assistants, as tutors, and as students, Lord. And Lord, we're grateful for each opportunity that you've provided for us. And I ask that you would guide each student on their journey, and that you would help them to experience different here at LBC, and that we'd be able to help them along that process. Lord, we love you. It's in your name. Amen.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.